What's up guys, Jake Danner here, and today I have for you some of my favorite Draftkings and Fanduel NFL picks for Week 8. Last week was not our best week by any means. We had a lot of Tennessee Titans, and they only beat the Browns by a score of 12-9, so obviously not our best week, but this week we look to get right back on track with our Week 8 picks, starting with the quarterback. At quarterback, you probably saw this coming from the intro slide, is Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the San Francisco 49ers. He has a DraftKings price of $7,200 and a FanDuel price of $7,900. In 2017, San Francisco ranks 31st in points allowed per game and 25th in passing yards allowed per game. So that already establishes that we have a good matchup, but one of the primary reasons I like Wentz this week is the fact that he has no price inflation due to the Monday night game. Usually DraftKings and FanDuel put out their pricing the previous Sunday night, so that Monday night game where Wentz threw for 4 touchdowns and had a phenomenal game against Washington, that is not taken into account for his pricing this week, so I think we really get him at a discount here. Thirdly, Wentz accounts for 74% of the team's offense. Their ground game hasn't been the best this year. Even though San Francisco doesn't have that great of a ground defense, I still think that the Eagles will be relying on Wentz a lot in this game, up until at least towards the end of the game, where I feel like they might pull away. And lastly, I like Wentz this week because he is at home, where he is averaging 25.5 DraftKings points this season, and this is really a solid average, especially for someone with a pricing like his. At running back number 1, we have Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Washington Redskins. He has a DraftKings price of $9,200 and a FanDuel price of $9,000. In each of the last 4 games, Elliott has received at least 25 touches, so obviously with those 25 touches through the ground and the air combined, he has a really high floor, and this makes him really worth the asking price that he has here, especially in a slate that is without Le'Veon Bell. Another big reason to like Elliott this week is the fact that this game will either be close. There's also a chance of a blowout, there always is, but Vegas sees this game coming within 3 points of each other, so Vegas really sees this game as a game that will stay close, and with that game staying close, that means that Elliott will continue to be involved throughout the entire contest. And then finally, I do think that he is safe in all formats with his touches, and also the fact that Le'Veon Bell isn't in this slate unless you're playing on FanDuel. He really is the best high-priced RB in my opinion this week. At running back number 2, we're going to stay in the same game with Chris Thompson of the Washington Redskins going up against the Dallas Cowboys. He has a DraftKings price of $5,800 and a FanDuel price of $6,000. I surely did not see this coming this season, but so far in 2017, Chris Thompson has averaged 19.3 DraftKings points per game. And for this average and with his price, I really think he comes at a bargain this week, especially because of the offensive line injuries that were dealt last week. Now, this might not seem good for a running back, but when you look at the game of Chris Thompson, he really is primarily a pass-catching back. He'll still have a few touches on the ground, but he is one of those guys that's going to get the checkdowns. He's going to have those close game, third down plays for the Redskins. And then finally, this is not too far-fetched, but one thing that I wanted to look at for GPPs is he really is a perfect fit with Elliott. Say that the Cowboys do have the lead and they're trying to pull away with it, they're going to be relying on Elliott to chew the clock, and then the Redskins trying to catch up would be using Thompson. So this is really a best case scenario, and not really something that I would completely lean on, but this is something that is worth considering if you're really trying to take down a tournament here. At wide receiver 1 this week, I have A.J. Green of the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Indianapolis Colts. He has a DraftKings price of $8,600 and a FanDuel price of $8,500. Indy's horrendous defense this year ranks 31st in passing yards allowed per game and 32nd in points allowed per game. So obviously I really don't have to talk about the matchup there. You have one of the elite receivers in the league going up against possibly the worst pass defense in the entire NFL. But to make a few more points on A.J. Green, I like him especially this week because of offensive coordinator Bill Lazor. I believe that's how you say it. Ever since he came in to the Cincinnati Bengals organization, he's really made a focus on A.J. Green, and you can see it in his stats since that time. And then finally, he's safe in all formats with the matchup and with the involvement in the offense. AJ Green has the potential for a monstrous game, and even if he doesn't, he's still going to be one of those guys that can easily get you over that 100-yard mark and possibly a touchdown or two. At wide receiver 2, I have Alshon Jeffery of the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the San Francisco 49ers. He has a DraftKings price of $6,200 and a Fanduel price of $6,600. Now, I'll say before I get started on this guy, he isn't my favorite receiver this week. I don't know if I'll be using him in most of my lineups. I mean, he will be there in quite a few of them. However, he makes a really good stack with Carson Wentz this week, and I think a lot of people will be off Alshon Jeffery, and I think you'll see why after this point. So far this season, San Francisco ranks 3rd against tight ends, and now you might be wondering what that has to do with Alshon Jeffery. Well, Ertz is Carson Wentz's number 1 target, so going up against a defense that takes away the tight end so well, Wentz is going to be forced to spread the ball around more to his outside guys, and Alshon Jeffery would be the primary recipient of that. At wide receiver 3, I have T.Y. Hilton of the Indianapolis Colts going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. He has a DraftKings price of $5,600 and a Fanduel price of $7,200. And this again is another one of those GPP plays. I do like him this week because he has a really low price, especially due to the game last week against a really solid Jaguars secondary. So without that game, Hilton would almost definitely be priced higher than what he is right now. So I think we are getting him at a bargain, especially on DraftKings. Secondly, Indianapolis doesn't really have a ground game to rely on, so I think they're going to be passing the ball a decent amount in what looks to be a close game / playing from behind against the Cincinnati Bengals. For the 2016 league leader in reception yards, I would most definitely take T.Y. Hilton at $5,600 on DraftKings, especially in the GPP format. At tight end, we're going back to the NFC East with Jason Witten of the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Washington Redskins. He has a DraftKings price of $4,200 and a Fanduel price of $5,400. If Josh Norman plays, which he most likely will, he will be shadowing Dez Bryant, the number 1 receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. And when you look at the depth behind Dez Bryant, you only have Terrence Williams and Cole Beasley as those 2 main guys behind him. So I think with the attention away from Dez, a lot of attention is going to be drawn to Jason Witten for Dak Prescott. He is a really cheap price, and I also want to refer to Ertz's stats last week against Washington, where he had a really solid game. I believe it was around 86 yards and a touchdown. You could correct me on that there. I don't have that in front of me right now. But I do see a similar outcome this week with Jason Witten at a really nice asking price. Finally, for defense, I have the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the San Francisco 49ers. They have a DraftKings price of $3,800 and a Fanduel price of $5,400. This week, the Eagles defense is going up against rookie quarterback C.J. Beathard. I did figure out how to say that. I didn't get that right last week. Who will be prone to turnovers. After all, he is a rookie. They have home field advantage, which is really something that you do want to take into consideration for a defense. And then limited offensive weapons for the 49ers will most likely translate in a low-scoring offense of the 49ers this week, especially against an Eagles defense that has been fairly solid. I know they lost Jordan Hicks. However, whenever the 49ers only put up 9 points against the Dallas Cowboys, I think we can be safe with picking on them again this week, especially in an away game at Philly. And then finally, I have some additional picks, and for the most part, these are all GPP picks, so don't get mad at me if these guys underperform, because these are guys that are going to be used for salary relief in those GPP formats. So with that being said, I can easily recommend Dak Prescott this week, but however, for salary relief, I like Josh McCown going up against the Atlanta Falcons. He only has a DraftKings price of $5,600 this week. And besides him, I didn't write this guy down. I do like Andy Dalton this week going against the Colts, so those are some 2 pretty cheap quarterbacks that you can use in your GPP lineups. At running back, I have Joe Mixon against the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I'm really hoping that he's not punished for his words about being frustrated about not getting a lot of touches. However, this guy has a lot of talent, and he's going up against the Colts defense that really is not that good against the run. And if the Bengals do take the lead in this game, which I really think they will, Joe Mixon should get those touches that he was looking for. At wide receiver, I had to include Amari Cooper here against the Buffalo Bills. He had a monster game last week against the Chiefs, and I know he's been really just up and down this season, but after coming off of 210 yards, I mean, you can't not consider him. And then at tight end, I have Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles going against the 49ers. He's the number one target of Carson Wentz, like I mentioned before, but Zach Ertz is one of the best tight ends that the 49ers have seen this year, so I think he can continue to get it done. He does seem a little bit overvalued to me at a DraftKings price of $7,000. However, if you have the opportunity to fit him in your lineup, you have a bunch of core guys that you like, and you're looking for a tight end, then I would highly recommend Ertz this week, as he has a great touchdown upside too. And then finally, I have the defense of the Carolina Panthers going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is also clearly a GPP pick. However, Josh McCown has been prone to turnovers, and the Buccaneers have given up 1.5 turnovers per game, so that helps with creating a really nice floor, and also especially if one of those turnovers goes back for a touchdown, you're looking at a defense that's really cheap, but it does have a lot of high upside in a divisional matchup. And that is it for my picks this week. Thank you guys for watching. I hope some of these picks can help you win some money this weekend. Good luck to all of you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.